Diane, welcome. I am so excited to be sitting here with the most beautiful, gorgeous, divine Diane McCann, who I have heard about for the last 10 years. And so many of my friends have said to me, you must meet Diane, you must meet Diane. And for whatever reason, that hasn't happened. And so here we are about to go live with the Un-Censored Summit. And I called up Diane out of the blue completely, and she really did. You humoured me when I rang you because you were like, yes, go on. So as a complete stranger, I rang Diane and asked her if she would be a guest on the show for the Un-Censored Summit. And I'm so excited to bring to you the work that Diane does here and in Bali and around the world. So Diane, welcome. It's so awesome to have you here.
It's wonderful to be here.
Thank you. And I really honour your time and space and commitment, but also the work that you do around intimacy and sexuality is just so well known in the world of Adelaide, and I'm sure around the rest of the world as well. So Dan, can you tell us just a little bit about who you are and how did you get started in the work that you do?
Sure. So I began my journey when I was very young, and probably if we come to my big vision, which is world peace,
yeah,
that began when I was 5 and I started school.
Wow.
And I saw kids who had brown skin, who had come in from the West Indies and who were tormented terribly about what they looked like and teased. And it made no sense in my brain. It was like, why would people make someone wrong just because they've got a different coloured skin?
Wow.
And so that was the start of my desire to make a difference somehow in the world when I grew up. And when I was 11, we emigrated to Australia and I was raped. And it was a very vicious rape. I was tied down and it was pretty awful, as rape is.
Yeah.
But it was the start of my life because it led me to the Theosophical Bookshop, and that led me on a spiritual journey. And so that was the start of my entire life, really, because everything that I do has a spiritual bent to it, and everything I do, if it doesn't make a difference, I don't do it. So that's how it all began.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, as you're saying that, Diane, I go to that place where that young little 11-year-old girl would have been.
And having no one to talk to because
yeah.
I had no family that communicated or knew how to communicate. And so nothing. They had a business, and the business was open for 6.5 days a week from 7:30 in the morning till 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
So as a child, I had no communication with either of my parents. So I always did my story in my life by going internally and reading. Reading was always my joy.
Yeah.
And it just happened that I got off at the wrong bus stop trying to find my way to the library and finished up in the Theosophical Bookshop. And
wow.
that particular day, they had a spiritual medium afternoon, and I snuck into the back of the room. And I sat there as a little 11 and a half, nearly 12-year-old going, what are they talking about? I had no idea. But they were making sense. The mediums at the front would be giving messages to the people in the space. And so that was the beginning of my understanding that there is more to the world than you can see, hear, taste, touch or feel.
Yeah.
And however, I still had to deal with the whole sexual thing. And, you know, I spent a lot of my life working on that. You know, I got married when I was 17, which was really stupid. And I married at 17 because my husband and I met when I was 13. And because I was already not a virgin, right? So I'd lost that precious thing that one is supposed to have when one gets married, at least in my day.
Yeah.
Not so much now, but in my day. And so
it was a big deal.
It was a huge deal.
It was everything.
It was everything. I mean, you know, the white wedding dress and the virginity. That was what was considered to be important.
Yeah.
So I was having sex with him within a couple of weeks of meeting him because I was searching for someone to love me.
Yeah.
And I knew that I should not marry him in every cell of my body. And I'm sure some of you listening would absolutely be aware of a time in your life when you did something and you knew that you shouldn't be doing it, but you do it anyway. Well, that's exactly what I did.
Yeah.
And so literally I knew the night before, this is a really dumb thing to do, but I didn't have the courage to say to my parents, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
So we were together for 16 years and we had 2 children. And sexually he was he was a good lover. I mean, sort of. He knew what to do to turn me on, and he knew how to get me to come.
Yep.
And so that was it,
Isn't that all you need?
Of course it's all you need. I mean, never mind the magic, never mind
Yeah.
the heart connection, never mind the intimacy, never mind the passion.
Mm.
And so I knew that there was more. I just knew it. I think every woman knows it. And to
Yeah.
some degree, I think every man has a sense that there has to be more than being focused on the genitals.
Yeah.
So basically after I left, I made up my mind to start learning more about me. And I mean, I've always done workshops on myself. I was the first person to do rebirthing in South Australia. Sorry, shouldn't have touched that. Probably
That's
made
all right.
it.
Touch yourself whatever you like.
I didn't.
If I had a body like yours, I'd be touching myself too.
You have a beautiful body. Great boobs.
Thank you.
And so, literally, I did a whole lot of work around peeling off my onion that was protecting me. And eventually, I started reading about Tantra, and it sounded amazing. It sounded like, what is this thing, the magic, what is it? Because I knew that it was there, I just didn't know what it was going to look like or what it was going to consist of. Eventually I met my current husband, and he was amazing. And so I said to him, just after we got together, I really want to learn Tantra. And he knew about Tantra because he'd worked in the Middle East.
Oh, right.
And would watch the sheik go across from his palace to his harem every night. And so, Robert thought, oh, this is going to be great. Let's go off and learn it. So
Which means that if it's something in it for both of you, that's a huge advantage, isn't it?
Absolutely. So we went off and we did this training with this couple. And I thought I was pretty cool. I'm cool. It's not much I haven't done. And, I now know all about sexuality. It's very funny, really. I think that learning about who you are sexually as a woman is a lifetime journey. I seriously believe that.
Yeah.
And so for me, I felt like I was going to be really cool, and I was totally terrified. I mean, I had no idea what does surrender mean, and it's not about surrendering to someone else.
Yeah.
It's about surrendering to yourself. What is deep intimacy with another human being? What does that look like? How do you create it? So we came back from that training, and we practiced every single day for nearly a year, about 9 months.
That's a massive commitment.
It was a massive commitment, but I already had in my head that one day when I grew up, I really wanted to be able to teach it. So I figure if I need to teach it, then I've got to live it, and I've got to walk the walk and talk the talk and blah, blah. So about 9 months later, I don't even remember, to tell you the truth, what it was that happened, but something happened and we stopped practicing every day. I mean, we still made love, but not every day, and we didn't connect every day. And so it wasn't very long before we realised, oh my God, something's missing in our life. What's missing? And of course, it didn't take us long to figure out what it was. So we went back and did the training all over again.
Oh, well done. That's huge.
Yeah, it was. And then we went back and did their advanced training, and then do their super advanced training. And this is all overseas, so it was expensive to fly overseas, but we were really committed, and for us, it changed our life. It changed how we connect together. It changed how we do every single thing. And so eventually people started noticing, and they started saying, I want what she's got, when Harry Met Sally, that movie. I'll have what she's having.
Well, and why not?
And why
Look how
not?
happy she is.
Yeah, exactly. And so we'd go out for dinner and we would sit there in the restaurant holding hands and gazing into each other's eyes, and the waitress would come up and say, "You two on your honeymoon? Or are you celebrating an anniversary?" And we'd go, "We're just in love." You know, and it was amazing. And so eventually people started asking us. We asked our teachers to come here and teach, and they weren't interested at the time. So they gave us permission to teach, and we've been teaching now for 27 years.
Wow.
Which is a long time.
It's
But
a lifetime.
it is, pretty much. I mean,
Well, certainly in married or
Yes.
partnerships, it's a lifetime.
yeah, it is. And so what amazes me is that there is always more to learn. There is always a depth to relationship that I think comes with time, you know, and comes with a total commitment to be. I always thought I was really open, you know, and I always thought I was like out there, but it seems not. So
What a beautiful thing to learn about yourself on the journey as well.
Well,
though.
for the last 2 years, it's just been amazing. I mean, I think the 25 years prior to that was unbelievable, but the last 2 years has been mind-blowing. And I think
Wow.
we're closer now than we've ever been. And we have a daily practice that we do with Tantra, which is just amazing. And for me, and this is very brave to say on a what are we going to call it?
A summit.
A summit. Yeah, it's a brave thing to say that, you know, I was nervous when we went into this latest level of depth that we've gone into. I could actually feel like a little virgin, you know, like the first time. It was so freaky.
I
was like, oh, I can't believe that you're actually feeling those feelings, Diane. What is going on with you? Maybe it's the moon, maybe it's, you know, the weather. No, it was much deeper than that. And so it's been such a joy. I mean, I just feel so blessed to be able to teach and share what we teach, because for me it's not just about the magic of Tantra or the intimacy of Tantra. It's about what happens to people on a mental level, because you absolutely have to change what goes on in your mind. You know, you have to change your old thoughts, your old beliefs, your old patternings. So all of my experience over my life, because I've been running the Goddess Within for 30 years, and that's been held internationally, and that's to empower women. And that's, so all the training that I've ever done as a rebirthing trainer, as a certified lifeline practitioner, as all of the things, I mean, I've got a stack of certificates like this that I could wallpaper a wall with, I think, all designed because I needed to heal myself. It was never about doing it for other people. It was always about, who am I underneath all of these masks that we all wear, you know, at various times. So it's like, how can I be 100% authentic? Because I really believe that authenticity, we know when someone is genuine and someone is authentic, and you can feel what they're saying in your heart, and something they say touches you deep inside. That's authenticity, and that's always been my goal. My goal is that at 70 people see a light in me that they go, my God, I could have that too. I just need to do more work on myself. And you know, it doesn't matter how you do the work. It doesn't matter what the work is, so long as you are doing something. And so that's what I encourage people. I mean, we run the Goddess Within for women, and then 12 years into that, the women started saying, well, why don't you do something for men? It's like, men? You know, in those days you would get one man to a workshop for every 30 or 50 women.
Is that right?
Oh yeah, 30 years ago it was like, not that much has changed, I've got to tell you. I mean, the percentage of men and women who do work on themselves there's a very big gap. The gap is getting less, but I mean, I feel so sad when women say to me, I would give my life savings to be able to do Tantra, you know, to be able to get my man to come and do it. But of course men say, What's wrong with how we've made love? I've been making love to you for 20 years. You've never complained before. What's
Yeah.
wrong with it? And it's not that there's anything wrong with it.
No.
It's that there is another place that you can go to. And I always say, for women to be able to awaken the healer in their man, because most men do not have a clue that they are their beloved's healer. And to be able to take a man to that place. In fact, one man, I remember him, I can see his face, and it must be 28 years ago. He said, had I known that I was her healer, I would have been here years ago.
Oh my gosh, that makes my heart ache.
Yeah.
Because it's the realization that that is the journey that that person's on, and they've had the awakening,
Yes.
which is fantastic. But how many people don't?
How many people don't? How many people do you know who basically rarely make love, or they make love because, you know, they think they should. The woman knows the guy's getting grumpy and he needs to make love.
She needs to put out.
So she needs to put out, however that is. I mean, I had a woman once who said, oh yeah, you know, I always say, how many women have made love when you don't want to? And you know, in 30 years of teaching Goddess, I've had one woman, say, I've never done that. And you know what? I didn't believe her. Seriously. I mean, I just didn't, you know?
Yeah.
Because I think at some level, there's a part of us, especially us as women, you know, we're so multifocal, you know, we are diverse in our thinking. And I know for all of you, I bet you any money, for every one of you, and you too, you're in bed making love and it's absolutely fabulous, and then suddenly you go, did I get the steak out for lunch tomorrow? Or did I make the kids sandwiches? Exactly. You know, our brain just does not stay focused on the receiving or the giving or the whatever, but we don't stay focused. Whereas men, they're 100% focused. When they're there, they're there. Well, in some ways it's good. In other ways it's like, you know, doing this, hope you guys can see that, doing this for 30 years, the same way, in the same spot, is unbelievably boring. And it's a complete turn off.
It actually becomes painful.
It does.
Yep.
So it's like, so why are we afraid of learning? You know, and I think, so what I've seen, to go back around the loop and complete it, is we started running a seminar for men. And then the men will often say, oh, because we talk for maybe 5 minutes about Tantra. 5 minutes, that's it. We just say, you know, how many men know that you can have multiple orgasms and no ejaculation? And most of the guys go, huh? Aren't they the same thing? No, they are not the same thing. They are not even remotely the same thing. Do you know that you can have multiple orgasms? No. Well, you can, but why would I want to? That kind of thing.
Why wouldn't you want to?
Why wouldn't you want to? Why wouldn't you want to have your beloved be able to have an orgasm for an entire hour continually? Why wouldn't you want to be able to pleasure her like that? Because what I know is that pretty much men will walk over hot coals for the woman that they love. And they would love to be able to give more to us. But we don't know what we want. We're too often embarrassed. Sorry.
Yeah, I can't say that. I can't ask for that.
And I don't even know, really. Look, because I don't know what else there is. If you've only ever eaten bananas for your whole life and someone says, do you want a pear? You're going to go, well, what's a pear? You know, well, would you like to experience la la la? I don't know what that is, you know. And so, no, I'm not comfortable with that. No, let's not do that. So women get embarrassed because most of us, our self-esteem and our self-worth is not high enough to know that we're beautiful. The number of women who've got issues around their body, their weight, what they look like, you know, the wrinkles on their belly, the scars on their belly. So they get, I mean, I know women who are in their 50s who've never, ever, 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 ever got undressed in front of their husband.
Yep.
In the light. It's like, hello, you know. So I love that you posted a video on your site, I'm pretty sure, but I had seen it before. And it's the woman who photographs the yonis. How beautiful is that? You know, I have a book and I hand it round at Tantra and I say, you know, I want you to take this book and go see what you think is beautiful. And I have a short story. I love stories. A friend of mine who literally, she took the book and she went through it and she found her favourite yoni. Yoni, by the way, means sacred space, which is a hell of a lot better than thinking about a pussy or any of those other lovely words, right? A sacred space. If I'd thought about myself as having a sacred space, I may have done my life differently. But because that was like I'd never heard of it. Anyway, so this girl took the book back, found this amazing picture that she fell in love with. And when her husband came up, she said to him, can you have a look at this book and tell me which picture you think looks most like me?
Yes.
And he went through the book, and the picture that he found was the one that she thought was the most beautiful.
Oh my God.
Now this is a woman who never thought she was beautiful, who, you know, thought that she was overweight and not attractive, and no part of her was attractive. I swear to you, when she walked in the class that night, her shoulders were back, her head was up, and she was radiating, you know, and she said, I found a part of me that's beautiful.
Wow.
And it's like all of her is beautiful to me.
Yes.
But of course she couldn't see that.
And just sometimes to know that one part of you may look beautiful to somebody else, like your partner, it's amazing how it can change our physiology, it can change the glow from us, it changes everything.
When you know, when you are a really well-loved woman, it shows.
It does.
It really does.
Yeah.
And it shines out of every cell in your body.
Like it did when you walked into my door. Diane walked in this, like, whoa, you look like a blossom. Because you can feel it. I can feel it radiating out of you.
Yeah, and it's just energy, isn't it? You know, it's just pure energy.
Yes.
So for me to have found the gift of Tantra in this lifetime, it matches everything that I believe, because it's about mentally what do you need to do to change what goes on in your head? Emotionally, what do you need to change? Because, you know, we get stuck, don't we? In relationships, we just get stuck. Meh, 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 that kind of stuck. You all know what I mean. No, I don't want to make love to you. No, the cold bum treatment, all of that stuff.
The dishes haven't been done, the washing's not done, I can't do it.
No, that's right. It's like, we're so fascinating. I say that mainly human beings that are in relationship, some of the time, and I'm not even going to say how much because it's very little, you know, maybe 5% of the time, we're actually adults in a relationship. The rest of the time, one of us is a 3-year-old child having a temper tantrum.
Yep.
I don't want to do that. And one feels this and the other feels that, and you know, and then we go into the whole, am I your mother? Am I your father? You know, I don't want to look after you kind of thing. And I hear so many women say, I've got 4 children, and actually they have 3. And that is really sad.
It's really sad.
So emotionally, what we do, like, I would never just do one thing on sex. You know, what we do at our Tantra training is we involve a whole lot of other stuff, a whole lot of emotional stuff, a whole lot of communication stuff, because what saddens me is so many people have no idea how to communicate. What happens when there's an upset? What do you do?
Start yelling and screaming like a 3-year-old.
Exactly. Well, I've just upgraded our Tantra manual yet again. I finished yesterday, and I think now we have over 80 handouts that we give out in 5.5 days. And some of them I say, you need to read this now, please, please. And the others I say, read them when you get home, keep them in a file, you know. But I think to have the information, what was that heart talk, you know, piece of paper that Diane and Robert gave to us? That's what I need right now because I'm in upset, you know. How do I deal with that? So Tantra for me is about the mental, the emotional, the physical, the sexual, and the spiritual. Because when 2 people come together in Tantra and they blend their energies and their breath and everything else, and by then we've taught them about sex.
Oh, that's cool.
And by then we've already taught them about chakras and how to move energy through their body. So people are having unbelievable experiences that they've never experienced before, to do with energy, because that's what we're made of.
That's it. That's all
Energy.
there is.
Yeah. So, but if you don't know that that's all there is, and you've never experienced it, then, you know, it comes as a shock.
Yeah.
When your body starts doing this, you know, and you're going, what's going on
What's
with me?
happening?
What's happening with me? Am I going crazy? No, darling, it's just energy. Don't worry about it. Just keep breathing. So it's wonderful.
Diane, for people who have never experienced Tantra before and don't even know what it is,
Okay.
how would you describe it to a complete novice?
Okay, I would give you two short analogies, hopefully short. One would be the difference between Tantra and making love is like eating at McDonald's or eating in a 5-star silver service restaurant. That's the difference.
Well, I know where I'd prefer to eat.
Me too. Never been in a McDonald's in my life.
Well done.
Ever. The other way that I describe it is that if you think about a valley and you think about a mountain, in the West, the way that we are taught and shown lovemaking, this is what it looks like. You have the valley, which is the foreplay, and you have the mountain, which is the orgasm. In Tantra, it's the other way around. The valley is the orgasm, and the mountain is what else you can have.
Wow.
Seriously. I mean, you know, it is so profound, and it changes everything about who you are, because it allows you to see yourself differently. So it's said to be the spiritual piece, the missing spiritual piece of the jigsaw puzzle of life. So tan means body, and tra means the vibration of the body. So Tantra means the vibration of the body woven into wholeness. So it takes two individuals and it brings them together as one. And what it does is, I'm sure you can all remember, right? When you were young, or when you were first together with the person that you love, or the person that you loved, if it's past tense, whatever, the passion was high, like you couldn't wait to be in their arms, to kiss them, to touch them. You'd get turned on just thinking about them, you know, you ate less. It was very exciting. But then the relationship settles down, as it does, because it's pretty hard to stay in that state of all the time.
It's exhausting.
It's exhausting, yeah. So the relationship settles down, and then often people will have kids, and then the woman's energy always goes towards the nurturing of the babies, you know, and she feels less and less like making love. And then, so, you know, guys just go, you know, like a friend of mine who was a guy who did MIJ, he said, we've just had a baby. How long do you think it'll be before she wants to make love? I went, yeah, give her about 18 years, I reckon. And I was joking. But, you know, it's like, because we've got so much more to think about, so when we do get back to that lovemaking phase of our lives, which everything is cyclic, you know, like it just goes around and around and up and down like that. So when we get back together, when you're using Tantra as a base, it's about men being able to move their sexual energy from their penis, which in Tantra is called a lingam, which means wand of light. So it's about moving the energy from there up to their heart. And for women, it's about getting out of our head and down into our heart. When two people connect from a heart space, I mean a real heart space, and we give exercises to put people into a heart space, because it's not the easiest thing just to go, well, I think I'll get into my heart. But I really was pissed off with him this morning because he didn't put the rubbish out, or whatever, you know, whatever the story is. We've all got stories. It's like somehow, excuse me, we have to find a way to be willing to go into that heart space, because when we go there, words don't do it. Have you ever noticed?
Words do not do it, because they get misinterpreted, and you kind of go back through the same cycles. Well, even wanting an apology. Something happened with Craig and I the other night, and I felt like he was so wrong for what he said, and I sat there in my ego and I was like, you should apologize. I didn't say the words, but it's the vibe I was putting out there.
Absolutely.
But it didn't matter how he apologized because I was still in my head processing it and trying to justify how I was right.
Right. So that doesn't work.
No.
So then what we would do is we would say, okay, so you get into a particular position in Tantra, even though it's the last thing you want to do.
Yep.
The last thing.
Everything in your body's going, don't even touch me.
Do not even touch me. But you just, what I always say, and it's one of my favourite sayings, is in a relationship, in life, one of you has to be the most enlightened at the moment. And maybe it wasn't you. Maybe it was him.
It was him.
So maybe if he had come to you and just put his hand on your heart, no words, and just looked into your eyes, you know what happens? Most of the time we cry. Because it's like, we're that 3-year-old and we just really want to be close, but we don't know how to allow ourselves to be that. So, and we give lots and lots of little tiny tools. And of course then you just have to practice it, which is then a choice.
It's a choice.
Absolutely. And you know, lots of people choose not. And you know why? I think Tantra takes you so deep into your relationship. And it brings up a love that is so profoundly different from what you had before that it's scary. And people go, oh, this is scary. And so often we'll see people picking fights with each other during the training to try to push them away. Because it's so scary feeling this much love. You know, who would I be if I could love this easily, this much, and this consciously rather than unconsciously? So yeah, for me it's an absolute joy. I just love it. So that's what Tantra is. Did I answer that well?
I think that's perfect. And what it really does make me realise is that by you saying, Diane, it's not about the words that we use. It is the connection that we feel, and that's where the energy comes together in the Tantra, as you said. For people who are feeling disconnected, that looking into the eyes and that touch connection of heart to heart touch is a beautiful activity. Is there any practice that you can recommend that our viewers might go away and do one thing with each other every single day that would make a massive difference for them in their relationship?
It would be start your day like that. You know, what happens in the morning? Generally an alarm goes off. Somebody rushes, you know, wakes up, jumps out of bed, has to go to work. The other person, excuse me, may well jump up to get breakfast or whatever. There's no connection. Then he goes off to work or she goes off to work and the other person does whatever they do. And then they come home at night, stressed often, because how many people love their jobs? Not that many, I can tell you. So they get home, dinner, maybe homework. If the kids are older, maybe nothing. Maybe you just sit in front, turn the TV on, you just sit there. And then you go to bed at night and it's like he's feeling maybe a bit horny, but you're the furthest thing from horny in the entire world and you've hardly had a conversation. When you start off with a heart salutation in the morning, no matter what else, just start off. Roll over, put your right hand on his heart. He puts his right hand on your heart.
We can demonstrate.
We can, just like this. And you just look, and you're in bed, and you're just breathing. You just say, I love you.
I love you.
I love you too. How amazing. So that is a really beautiful thing to do. Then, when they come home at night, if you do that again, and you just look, your whole being softens just simply through being, not doing, just being. And then if it moves into lovemaking, it's like, because then you could lean over and kiss each other. You know, it's like, that is so simple. It's such a simple thing to do. And you know, if you do, I always think that there's little things that we can do for each other. You know, what I do in the morning, and share this publicly, but I do in the morning.
You.
This is after I get out of bed, right? This is while Robert's doing whatever he's doing. But what I do is I get out his underwear. So I get out his underwear, his socks, and his t-shirt. And what I do is I make the underwear into an eye. I make the socks into a heart because they're perfectly shaped for that. Did you know that?
Oh,
They're
well,
perfectly
now.
shaped. They come down and then they've got the heel. So you make that little bit like the heart. And then I make the t-shirt into a U. I love you. And I put it on the bed. And it's like, I do it every day. Sometimes I do R, if I turn the t-shirt into an R, because my husband's name's Robert. And then I'll put love you. You know,
Yeah.
R, love you. And we do things for each other every day. Because we get to the point of, what's that word, where we just take each other for granted.
Yeah.
Totally. And when you take someone for granted, it's really boring. It's like, why am I even with you? You know, ho-hum, ho-hum. Did we make love like that last night or last week or last month or whenever? You know, when was the last time we did anything passionately different?
Yeah.
And so it's doing those things, going out of your way to do things that are completely different. You know, like having setting your intention. When you, excuse me, I'm going to cough. When you're together in the beginning and they say, oh, would you like to come to the movies with me tonight? You know, it's like, oh, you get that whole fluttery, buttery thing going on inside.
Yes.
Make it a commitment that at least once a month I will do something wonderful for you and you will do something wonderful for me. You know, I have a friend and they took up this suggestion that we had, which was they had an old fishbowl. It was a round one. And what they did was they wrote out things that they both absolutely loved. Like, she loves poetry, he hates poetry. Khalil Gibran or any poetry really. But she wrote, I would love to have a poem read to me. And he wrote, you know, I would love to go ice skating, which she hated. But they put it in this big bowl. And then once a fortnight they would dig in, they folded them up on beautiful coloured pieces of paper, dug into it, pulled one out. Okay, this is what I'm... And he would read a poem to her, even though it wasn't his thing, you know.
Because you know it's lighting up the other person.
That's right. It's the whole 5 love languages, you know. What is it? I swear, the first time Robert read that book, and he put a rose next to my desk, I nearly laid him down on the office floor and made love to him there and then. Because he had never... He's the least romantic person in the entire universe. And I'm the most romantic person in the entire universe, right? So, you know, my idea of romance, if I think about him, would be him wearing a little satin lap and nothing else, and having a rose in his mouth and coming in and dancing. Now, I could live to be 5,000 and that would still never happen. It wouldn't. You know, I bought him 1,001 Ways to Be Romantic many, many, many years ago. And he used it for a doorstop. Seriously.
At least he used it.
That's true. For a short while, I couldn't bear to have a book on the floor. I was like, no, that didn't work. But, you know, what I had to stop and look at was my definition of romance is very different to his definition of romance. And his life revolves around giving to me in different ways. So, for instance, when he said to me last night, what are you doing tomorrow? I said, I'm picking up my 95-year-old and taking her shopping, and then I am heading off and I'm coming down here. So he doesn't say a word in the morning. He just gets up and he says, what time are you leaving? And I go, I'm leaving at 8:30. At 8:20 he went downstairs, he turned the car on, put the heater on, turned it around, made sure I had water in the car, made sure my phone was in the car. And you know, that's not my kind of romance at all.
It's a practical
kind of
romance.
But you know, when I had to really think about it, and I thought about what he does for me versus what I do for him, I was just so grateful because he does those things all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. It's his way of loving me. he's never going to dance with a rose in his mouth, you know, ever.
And some people will look at that as, well, he's not doing something for me that I want. But I think the beauty in a relationship is where we really have the ability to interpret what our partner's doing for us.
Absolutely, and stop being so focused on the way you think it needs to be.
Yeah.
It's like we're all different, you know. I would no more think of walking him to the car when he goes out and turning the car off him than flying to the moon. It's just not part of my consciousness. But it is for him, and that is his love language, and that's how he gives to me. And so what I had to do was reframe how I saw his romantic love.
It's like being an interpreter.
Yeah.
In a way, it's what's my partner doing for me, or what are they doing, and then working out, is it for me, and what's that expressing out of them?
Yes, and it's definitely for me. I mean, he doesn't have to do any of those things.
He really
he
doesn't. And if he didn't do it, you probably wouldn't notice. So
because it's not a big thing
That's
to me.
right.
I think I would notice because he's been doing it for so long. If
Well,
I had to turn the car on myself,
like what? Where do I start?
I
This thing needs a key?
I'd probably get upset by the fact that he didn't do it. So, you know, relationships are a tough learning ground.
They are.
And that's why we have such a high divorce rate. But because we don't do the work on ourselves, and we do repeat our patterns, you know, I mean, it's absolutely obvious. You see it all the time with people. They get out of one relationship, they get into another one. The person even sometimes looks similar. Look at Rod Stewart, half of his women. Look at what they look like. Tall, blonde, leggy, skinny. Nearly every one of them. They were like carbon copies of each other. And many of us, even if they don't look the same, their patterns are the same.
Yeah.
And so if their patterns are the same, whose pattern is it? Is it your pattern or is it their pattern? It's your pattern, because it's coming from healing that you have not done with your parents.
I love that. It is perfect. That's exactly what it is.
It's so true. And so when we start to look at our patterns and we start to go, oh, you know, I'm sure all of you, if you're mums or dads, I'm sure you've all made a comment to your children at some point, and you go, oh, I don't even think that way anymore. That was what my mother used to say to me, you know. But because we are so patterned, we need to unravel those patterns and discover who we are when we're not busy taking on their, you know, their patterns. It's
Or
so
blaming
amazing.
them.
Or blaming them.
It's not me.
Yeah.
We're perfect.
Exactly. Exactly. I'll show you a really easy one. Can I show you something?
Yes, please do.
Have you been muscle tested? Ever?
Yes, I
Okay.
have.
So give me an arm. Any arm. I don't care which arm. Much easier if you just bend it into your waist. That way you don't have to hold your arm up so much. So this is just called muscle testing, kinesiology, whatever you want to call it. So hold strong. Beautiful. Say your name.
Jackie.
Beautiful. Say, my name is Fred.
My name is Fred.
Liar. Say, my name is Jackie.
My name is Jackie.
Now watch this, everyone. I want you to say, this is Jackie speaking.
This is Jackie speaking. No
Really?
way.
Really? That's what I was...
I want to try another one. This is Jackie. Let's do it again. This is Jackie's mum speaking.
What, say her name.
This
say-
is Stephanie speaking. Oh my God.
Now what we do
Oh,
is...
there's some positives in that.
I'm sure. I'm sure.
Wow.
But what we do is we have an identity.
Mm-hmm.
We cannot fully be in our own identity until we've peeled off all the layers. And I'm not talking from going to the gym or reading a book, or it's cellular.
Yeah, it is.
And nutripuncture, this thing I was telling you about, actually changes the cellular structure of the body so that you stop being part Jackie and part Stephanie.
Yes.
Yeah? And you become all Jackie.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so obvious with people.
Mm-hmm.
Some people you can see it more, but whenever you do that, I have never met anyone, and I've tested thousands of people, but I've never met anyone who's fully in their own identity, because they take on the identity of the parent that they most needed to heal with.
Yeah. And that's really, you know, I look at times when I've travelled overseas, I pick up people's accents. I come back to Australia with a slight accent. It's the same sort of thing.
Yes.
We can't not be impacted by our environment and the people around us. We might have to do another interview on the what's it called?
Nutripuncture.
We might have to do another interview on that.
Whatever.
Diane, you've got a couple of workshops coming up that you do in Bali. Can you tell us about the work that you've got coming up over the next, say, 6 months, which would give people an opportunity to connect with you?
Okay, so we have, not me, by myself, Robert and I have Tantra in Bali on September the 15th to the 20th. So it starts in the evening, goes through to the evening, so it's 5.5 days. And you know, the most amazing thing about seeing that is when couples come in, they're kind of like this.
You see a lot of that.
And by the end of the 5.5 days, they look like couples who've just fallen in love.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful. So that is in September, and then November, I think the 11th and the 12th, I have the Goddess Within.
Okay, and where's that run?
In Adelaide this time.
Oh my gosh!
Yes.
Can I come?
Of course you can come. So my website is, do you want my website?
Yes, please, that'd be great.
So it's just beyondtheordinary.net.au.
Beautiful.
Or just .net, you'll find us.
Beyond the Ordinary.
Beyond the Ordinary, because everything we do is beyond the ordinary. Then we have a men's course in November, the weekend after Goddess, but that's in Melbourne. And
What's
that's
that
only
called?
for men. Man's Inner Journey.
Okay, so you said MIJ before. That's what it is, Men's Inner Journey.
It's been going for 22 years.
Okay.
And I always hated working with men. Sorry guys if you're watching this. But you know, most of the men who ever came, all because they came because their partners sent them, or their mothers gave it to them for a Christmas present, or their sisters gave it to them, or somebody gave it to them. And one of the things we say is, why are you here? And they go, because my mother sent me. And it's like, oh, spare me. Is anybody here because you want to be here? And you know, over the last few years, it's changed.
That's beautiful.
And now the men are there because they want to be there.
And I think part of this journey of coming into balance with the masculine and feminine is going to need men to be able to be there because they want to be there, not because there's a risk of divorce or, you know, a partner going, we're not having sex until you've done it.
It's about, it's time. Patriarchy's done. Matriarchy, I don't know how many of you know that once upon a time we lived in a matriarchal world. That doesn't work either.
No.
We have to have equality. We have to have the male and the female, the masculine and the feminine linked arm in arm. And one will go forward, and that always happens in relationships. A woman will go off and do a workshop, and she'll come back, and the way I describe it is, he's still sitting like a slug, sorry, or she's still sitting like a slug on the lounge watching the television, right? Yeah. But the other person comes back, and their vibratory field is spinning really fast. Now the other person is spinning really slowly, and this person spins off.
Yeah.
That's where it gets difficult, when one person does the work and the other one doesn't. When two people go do the work, then you're both spinning at the same speed.
Yeah.
And then you can, or I always say, don't ever use the word fall in love, because when you fall anywhere, you hurt yourself.
You do.
Orbit in love. And that's about orbiting. Yeah? So,
and that's balance. You need balance.
And that's
for orbit.
balance. And one person will go off and do something, then the other person needs to go do something, or they're going to feel that distance. And it's going to be painful for them because they're going to feel like they're losing you.
Yeah.
So it's important for two people in a relationship, if you're going to be on a spiritual journey, you've got to be on it together.
I totally agree. And the number of people who I've spoken to, even on a personal development journey, not even just a spiritual journey, who have said the point in our relationships where things got really challenging was when we were on separate paths.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, you're walking this path, do it together.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
Diane, I could talk to you all day, and I really mean that. I really, really mean that. What you've got to offer the world, and the work that you've done in and around your mission of world peace, what better mission could we actually have on this planet? And it starts with us as individuals.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for your love, your energy, and your time.
Thank you. infinite love and gratitude. That's what that means.
Thank you.
Infinite love and gratitude, and may you all orbit in love.
Beautiful, thank you. And thank you so much for joining us for the interview series. I really look forward to seeing you at our next interview. We've got 15 amazing people that we're going to be speaking to, and the opportunity for you is to really level up and challenge yourself with what you've heard today. Listen through it and listen to it again, because there'll be some things that you would have picked up through listening the first time, and then there's always the second time around where you're going to learn something new. And especially if some of these concepts are new to you, it might take a couple of times for you to hear it. The other side of that is, if your partner is not on this journey with you, ask them. Send them a link to this, but don't force them to sit down and watch it with you, because it's not going to work. So do the best that you can with what you've got and give the information, and hopefully your partner will follow you on the journey that you're on and come with you on the path, but that's their journey as well.
Blessings.
Thank you. See ya.